Welcome back to another episode, another podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, once again, thank you very much, and hope you enjoy looking at us lovely faces for the next half an hour or so. Really good episode once again, as I said, coming off a back of, I feel like, the best round of NRLW for the year last year in terms of some of the quality matchups, some of the storylines as well. Not to go off the accelerator at all, because this weekend's got one of the biggest games of the whole year. It's got implications to the top four, and I'm really looking forward to watching that. And luckily for us, it's the last game, so we get to really be intrigued. We've got prime time NRLW football as well again this weekend, so Thursday night footy, which I felt like myself went really well on last week with no NRL footy. It was really all eyes on it, and it was a really good game, I thought, as well. So once again, Alex from Watch Her Footy. Let's just quickly go through the results. So Sharks, as I said, Thursday night beat the Dragons 16 points to 8. The Broncos just got there in the end over the West Tigers 22 points to 18, which I'm sure as a Broncos fan, we'll get to it with Alex, I'm sure he was biting his fingernails quite a bit with that result, because that could have quickly turned south and they could have been really battling for that top four spot. So they did well to get across the line. The Knights 20 defeated the Roosters 4. So a result a few people did, but I don't know if they tipped it for the scoreline that it ended up being. The Knights, which we will get into as well. The Sunday games, the Raiders too good for the Cowboys, 34-12. We thought the Raiders would sort of put their foot down in that game, and the Titans again, it's exactly the same scoreline, actually 34-12. So I don't know if that's happened too much in either NRL or NRLW, but both games are the exact same scoreline. That's pretty cool. Let's go to the ladder quickly. There's, as I said, there is a game or two that impacts this. So up the top, Newcastle Knights 14 points. The Roosters and the Titans both on 12 points, second and third. The Broncos fourth on 10 points. The Raiders fifth on 10 points as well. So it's really getting close there. The Dragons, Sharks, sixth and seventh on 6 points. The West Tigers, the Cowboys on 4, and the Eels, unfortunately, sitting at the bottom, and it looks like they will get the wooden spoon for this year. Alex, after all that, firstly, I'll ask you about how you went with the Broncos game on the weekend, because there were so many different scenarios happening for a lot of that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the preview last week, I was saying it was going to be a danger game for the Broncos. I think you said Broncos 13 plus, but I was a bit cautious
Yeah,
of the game just because of the in Sydney big ins for the Tigers, and just if we sort of let our foot off the pedal, it has big implications for the top four. So I was worried. Um, and then obviously the Tigers were winning like 16-6, and I was like, oh no, like how are we going to get ourselves out of this? I think there was a hip drop on Sarah Togatuki, and then she went off, which sort of really turned the momentum of the game through the middle, especially. We were lucky enough to get back into it, but going to need to be a whole lot better if we're going to be playing finals.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I thought last week when you said that, I was thinking, I was sure the Broncos would do it quite easily, but mate, that's why you are the expert in this field, and you're right. What about quickly your thoughts on that? A lot of people said it was a grand final preview, that the Knights versus the Roosters, and the Knights ended up doing it scoreline pretty easy, but it was a great contest to watch, and it has to be said, a couple of their star players really stood up and shone.
Yeah, well, I'll jump ahead and say the Knights were my performance of the week as a team. The game itself, it was pretty sloppy, I thought. Like there was like 12 and 13 errors on either side, a lot of missed tackles. Yes, pretty low completion rates for the top two teams in the comp. I think like in terms of quality, I was probably a bit disappointed and expecting such a high quality game, but it let me down a little bit in that aspect. But the Knights did well to win with the score, and they did, with the game being so even, sort of stat wise. Obviously, no Jess Surgis and Millie Boyle ruled out late would have hurt the Roosters big time. Who knows? Maybe it was a little play by the Roosters. We don't want to put Millie in the firing line of her old teammates or rest her up for finals. But yeah, solid win for the Knights. But I won't read into it too much. I think it could be a very different result if they do play finals and the Roosters are at full strength and firing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. And I'll say, as you've sort of done as well, I had the Knights as my performance of the week for team. I just thought, against such a good side, I know, as you said, they did have a couple of really key players out, but it was sort of like if anything, it's just a confidence booster heading into the finals, knowing that they can beat that quality of outfit after starting the year a bit slow on their terms, but they've really come back in on a massive win streak at the moment. While we're on that, we may as well quickly do the players, our player of the week as well, and then we'll get to the try scorer results and stick to the positives first. Mine was Tamika Upton. I just thought, as we're talking about that game, I said it in sort of the chat they're in with the tipping comp, the fact that I just thought it was her really saying to the competition, I'm still the best player going around here. Like, that was a big stage against really quality opposition. And I just thought she was everywhere. Like, it was back to her. I remember when she first got on the scene and everyone just couldn't believe the motor she had. And I guess now we've seen that with Tegan Berry as well, and sort of people just expect it with Tamika. But the fact she's done it in such a high quality game where she was everywhere, kick returns, in attack, on the ball, making breaks, that individual try she scored was something that, if you haven't watched it yet somehow, please go and look it up, because it was sensational. It was one of the best tries I've seen in both the men's and the women's game. What are your your player of the week?
Yeah, I had it as Tamika Upton up until the last game, where Jamie Chapman scored 3 tries. So a bit of a less important sort of game, I guess. But yeah, Jamie Chapman, 207 run meters, 7 tackle breaks, and 3 tries. I think I was saying I wasn't sure if she would actually play because she failed the HIA the game before. So I don't know how that all works or how she was actually allowed to play if there was that 11-day stand down. But yeah, so I tipped the other center to score, Niall, thinking the centers are really cashing in against the Eels, and it ends up being Jamie because she does play, scores 3. But yeah, on Tamika, I think she's just giving everyone a reminder that she is the number one Jillaroos fullback, and there's been a lot of Tegan Berry hype and chat. So yeah, a little reminder for us all.
Yeah, and look, I'll give you credit there, because I remember last week you did say about Chapman that if you were sure she was going to be playing, you would have actually had her as your try scorer. So a bit unfortunate there, but look, you meant well, and you would have had that. I feel it for you there. Talking about that, let's talk about the results, because the quicker these are getting over, the better at the moment, because I know I was on struggle street once again. I was cheering the Sunday games and only managed, I think, one.
Yeah, okay, I'll go from the top. So first game, I had Tyler Nathan Wong. You had Tegan Berry. Tyler ended up scoring and not Tegan Berry. So I was
Great
happy with my
try.
start. Finally, getting that first one across the line is a good feeling. Then the next game, I had Sarah Togatuki. You had Ash Werner. They both didn't score. Then I had Tamika
And she
Upton. You
could
had
have early on as well. I was spewing. Ashburn
yeah,
had
yeah,
a
she
great
could have
chance
early.
early
Yeah,
on
she
there.
could have
Oh,
early. Yeah, I think that was a bit of a bomb try there. Unlucky. I had Tamika Upton. You had Mia Wood. Upton scored and Wood didn't. Then the next one, Mackenzie Wiki, I had, and you had Maddie Bartlett. Bartlett scored. So that's you get your first one there. I'm 2 so far. Then going into the 5th game, I had Niall and you had Shaylee Bent. Both didn't score. So I ended up on 2. You ended up on 1. It's just shocking. So yeah, 2 from 5 from me, 1 from 5 for you. Overall, I'm 13 out of 35, and you are 11 out of 35. So not the best record, but
oh,
yeah, I'm happy with staying honest.
yeah. I'm glad we're doing a lot better when it comes to tipping. So that's all I'll
Mm.
say. I'll look at the tipping results at the moment and look at these try scorer results. Let's get in this massive round 9 preview, the week before finals. So, commiserations to the teams that will be missing out. It's clear cut. I think quite a few are already out, but there's still a nice little tight race there for that sort of top 4 spot, which is good. Tigers versus the Knights, Thursday, 7:45. Again, that nice kickoff to watch some real prime time rugby league. Campbelltown Sports Stadium as well is it. Tigers 8th, Knights first. What are your thoughts on this one? We've seen last week that Tigers sort of go back to that form from they had at the start of the year. So this might be a bit closer and a bit better of a game than I think a lot of people might think.
Yeah, I think for the teams out of the running, it's their last game. So there's even though there's nothing to play for, there is a lot to play for themselves. It's the last chance they get to show themselves in the NRLW until next season. It is a long time to wait. Obviously, they have the other lower comps, but yeah, if they're players that want to get re-signed and make a mark against the Knights for the Tigers players, is a good time to do it. But yeah, I think it'll be competitive game. I mean, the Knights will want to keep their form rolling heading into finals and make sure there's no sort of lapses in concentration, iron out all the little things. So yeah, potentially it will be a close game. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Knights run away with it, but I think the Tigers have enough in the tank and keep it close. But yeah, I'll tip the Knights.
Just quickly on the week before the finals, obviously we see with the NRL a lot of teams who are in finals contention guaranteed a spot. They do rest players. Is there any talk about the Knights resting anyone at all?
There was something about them resting, but with the team named, I think with the
Yeah,
men's season, like it's so long, they go through such a grueling season.
yeah,
You know, it's they need that rest towards the back end. But you know, only being 9 weeks. I mean, I don't want to say it's easy to get through it, but only 9 weeks. It feels like they're still building and trying to get better and work on combinations. Like you wouldn't see people in the men's game resting after 8 or 9 weeks. They're still trying to build combinations. So I think the more time
yeah.
together, the better. And yeah, only 2 more games. They only have a semi and a grand final, so they want to get everything perfect now.
Yeah, and I think as well the fact that the Roosters and Titans are both only one win behind them, and who knows what could happen this weekend. We've seen rugby league's a funny game. They might slip to as low as third and then miss out on either of the home final, however it's going to work for them next week. So you probably don't want to risk that either. Getting a verse fourth, other than maybe getting a verse the Roosters again a week before, wouldn't be ideal. Yeah, look, for mine, I do think the Knights will get this done, but I think it'll be, as I said, a lot closer than a lot of people think. Knights sort of that 1-12 sort of margin. I think will be a closer sort of game. What about your player to watch in this one?
Yeah, I'll go Jacinta Carter for the Knights. Off the bench, I think she debuted last week. She's off the bench again this week. Yeah, really exciting prop, a really damaging prop. She played for, or she didn't play for the Broncos, but she was in the Broncos system at least last year and played under 19s Origin this year. Yeah, probably one of the more exciting props coming up in the game, I think. And yeah, they have Caitlin Johnson, Taylor Predamon now, Jacinta Carter, a few really exciting props to watch. So keep an eye on her.
Yeah. They're forming a really, really strong forward pack. It's really, really intimidating. I'm thinking it's getting to that stage. A lot of them are quite young as well, so it's something they can really build with in the future, especially as the competition grows. Um, for mine, look, just because this fact this is prime time rugby league once again for the women, I've gone to Tamika Upton just for the fact that if you're not familiar with the NRLW, you haven't watched much of it, all good, but like you have a lot of people have eyes on this game. Just as we spoke about earlier, just please watch her and watch the work she does. It is ridiculous. It's you don't want to make comparisons and stuff with some of the great players we've seen in the past, but it's got a lot of Billy Slater about her with how she plays, and you don't want to put any more pressure on her. But she's just an absolute star. She's done it year in, year out since she's debuted, and just please do yourself a favor, have eyes on Tamika Upton. I've got no doubt she'll come up with something spectacular that will blow your mind. So, predicted try scorer in this one.
Yeah, I think I backed her in another week, or maybe she was my player to watch. She hasn't scored a try yet this year. She scored a few
Yeah,
and was one of like the go-to players for the Knights last season, and a big reason they were so successful. She's definitely been quiet this year. So Caitlin Johnston, I think, against the
yeah,
Tigers side that, we saw Destiny Brill. I don't know if you're watching that one, sort of just walk over from dummy half where there were no markers. So if they catch the Tigers sort of sleeping on their own line, Caitlin Johnston will definitely crash over.
yeah. Go, Caitlin. Do the last name proud. Look, you said you may have mentioned this one once or twice. Look, this this woman I've mentioned several times this year for my try scorer. I'm going all in again. I gave her a week off last week. I gave the wingers a week off, but I'm back on board. The Knights wingers. Jasmine Strange, come on down. I've got you. So I'll have Jasmine Strange as my try scorer. Um, Next game, first of the Saturday double header. Roosters second place, Cowboys ninth, 6 p.m. So it's again night time footy for the women, which is I think fantastic. I think this is because they want to maybe go off the back of the finals for the Warriors game and then keep the viewers intact. I don't know how what they're thinking is fully behind it, but I guess that would make sense. And they want to play into the Warriors game and stuff. Can you maybe give a bit more on that one, Alex?
Yeah, so it was actually like it was rescheduled. It was originally I think 1 and 3 or 3:30 or something like that. So yeah, instead of being before the finals game and the second game kind of running at the same time, they've just moved them now so they should be after that game finishes. So yeah, it's good that they'll be standalone, and if people are itching for more footy after that finals game's over, then yeah, tune into the NRLW games now.
Yeah, I love it. I can't wait to watch some nighttime women's action. Thoughts on this game? Competition ladder says Roosters should do it easily. Is that the case?
Yeah, look, I think after the loss last week, they're going to be pretty desperate just to get back to winning ways. And like I said before, the Knights, find their form, just hit their straps at the right time going into finals. So I think the Cowboys are in for a rough day in this game. They haven't really shown much promise this season, and not really any signs that they will, be able to compete with this Roosters team. They're going to be looking to get back to their best. So Roosters in a big win for me.
Yep. Look, I can't argue at all. I think if anything, the Knights have done something for the competition. They've poked the bear and woken it back up, and it's a dangerous time to do that with finals footy just around the corner. So I think the Roosters do this quite easily. Player to watch on this one. I just want to make a quick shout out. We're speaking about the Cowboys, and it's been a disappointing year for them. But I think someone who can hold her head up high is Emma Mantleman, who I think has been fantastic in that hooker position for the Cowboys, and a real bright spark for them moving forward. And someone they can base a lot of their game off is her. And she just doesn't stop. She's just a little bulldog. She's just always in the ruck, so I love it. But my player to watch for this one's Taryn Aiken. I just think in the finals around the corner, big game player. Watch her step up here and really set the game on fire.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. But I'll go the interesting one of number 14 for the Roosters, Millicent Scott, coming in as has been the assistant strength and conditioning coach for them all season, and think they've been hit by a few injuries, and I think if you have a season-ending injury, you're allowed to sort of sign a player who's not already a part of the system. So they've just turned to the person next to them at one training in the gym and said, "Can you play?" And she's in this week, so it's a bit of an interesting one. So we'll see what level she's at and see how she goes.
It's interesting to say this. We do have to address this because this is obviously quite big news for the rugby league world and rugby league circle. And we all first heard about this one is how does it actually work for people who don't understand the squads and that? Because if it was the NRL, for instance, they'd be able to go to say the New South Wales Cup or Jersey Flag or something and bring a youngster through. Does the women's game at the moment not have those sort of youngsters coming through? Is there like not a 20s competition or something they could bring a youngster the Roosters in? Is it they've had to go to their strength and conditioning coach?
Well, I think they already have with Mia Wood. She was in the HNWP, so the comp below the NRLW. So there is that comp below, and there have been players pulled from that who weren't initially in a top 24 squad with a contract or a development contract. There's about 4 or 5 players that are allowed to be a development player. So they do bring them up from that, but this one's just very strange and out of the blue that you can just basically sign whoever you want. You'd never see it happen in the men's game. I think if any of the top men's teams suddenly signed their assistant strength and conditioning coach, there'd be a few eyebrows raised. And yeah, I don't know. It's just such a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I could imagine that. Oh, geez. Let's move on from that. Predicted try scorer.
Yeah, I think she didn't score last week, and I don't think she'll have another quiet game. So Isabel Kelly, I think she could probably score a double here against the Cowboys, to be honest.
Yeah, look, I've gone something different. I forgot to address this. What I do every week is I put two players down and always have my options open. This week, all I've done is I've got one name and I'm locking in one name the whole weekend, and maybe that's my change of fortune. I've gone Bridie Parker, Roosters winger. I think there's going to be some tries on the flanks, and I think there'll be an old-fashioned wing, maybe even a long ranger. She might be able to get there and get it done. So Bridie Parker for mine. The second game on that night, Saturday, 8:10 at night, Net Strata Jubilee, as I said, the doubleheader. The Dragons 6th, the Broncos 4th. Personally, I look at this and I think this is a bit of a danger game for the Broncos. I think the Dragons do have a couple of little injuries and stuff. They've rostered their weekly lineup just seems to change every week, and it's quite drastic changes as well. There's always a fair few that have changed, but yeah, I think this is one the Broncos can't take lightly, and they're in a weird position at the moment.
Another one down in Sydney where we have struggled now this season. And like I said, with the I think it was the Tigers, a lot of players for the Dragons are on 1-year deals, so it's a chance for the younger players coming in because of injuries to other players to show what they're worth and show what they're made of, and potentially secure a spot for seasons coming. Now that we'll see some re-signings eventuate at clubs. A lot of 1-year contracts, so yeah, they'll be up for it, I'm sure, and wanting to show what they can do. And yeah, probably like I said last week with the danger game, could definitely another one, because if we lose, we're at risk of falling down to fifth. So not a game we want to take lightly. But I think we'll win it. I think we'll win it.
Yeah, I personally, I've got the same. I think it'll be a close game though. But just the fact that you simply have to win it, and the old cliche, you got more to play for in this game than the Dragons do. And if the Dragons were going to turn up, would have been last week, where they unfortunately did get beat. So if they won that game, I would have been more confident with the Dragons' late run. But the fact that they weren't able to do get last week's results, I'll go the Broncos in a close one. Play to watch. My one, I've gone for Gal Broughton, who's back this week, and another one who I just think is going to prime her run nicely for finals, and maybe had a little rest last week, got the body right, and I think she'll hit the ground running this weekend against an opposition that has sort of had glimpses of their best footy, but a lot of the time they've had a slow half or something like that. I think Gail can be a player that actually really gets into that and really destroys a weak defensive line or any moments of lapses.
Yeah, I'm going to go with someone on debut. I think she is named to start at second row, Ellie Williamson. Whether we see her start or come off the bench, we'll find out. But yeah, at the national championships 2 years ago, she was the player of the tournament. So the tournament that just came this year, it was, I'm pretty sure, Alexis Tauniai was the player of the tournament. So yeah, the year before that, it was Ellie Williamson. Hasn't had a crack at NRLW level yet, but yeah, she gets a shot here, and we see what she can do.
We love watching all these debutants. It's a good look into the future, especially as the game's growing. It's nice to see the rookies not coming up. That's going to just strengthen the game moving forward as well. Perfect. So you predict a try scorer in this one. Let's hope you don't steal mine, because I've just said I've only got one.
I feel like I might, because it's a pretty obvious one for this game. But she hasn't scored for the past 2 weeks, so that's why I'm picking her, because I just think she can't have another week where she doesn't crash over. So I'm just going to go back and Mele Hufanga.
Aye, that's okay. I'm cleared. I'll go Julia Robinson on the wing. I'll let her. Again, I'm the wingers. I really like the wingers this week. I feel like it's going to be one of those weekends, a lot of tries, and obviously wings on the back of those backline movements. Good to see. First of the Sunday double header. This is where it's starting to really heat up at the moment. A cracking game coming up. But the Eels 10th, Sharks 7th, GIO Stadium at Canberra. As I said, Sunday the 1 o'clock game, so daytime footy again. How good. Your thoughts on this one? Obviously, both teams with really nothing to play for. I think the Eels, even if they win, their points differential is too bad to really get them off, unless it's a massive shellacking, which I can't see. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think, like you said, nothing to play for, but I just have a weird feeling that the Sharks will just find their form and just have a massive game, and just will sort of just sit back and say, where was this all season? It's what we expected to see from them all season. Yeah, obviously too little, too late to make finals or anything, but I think it'll be a massive game from the Sharks. I don't know. I don't want to say the Eels have given up, but it has been a pretty tough season. It would have been pretty mentally fatiguing. So it's sort of like, could be a case of let's just get this season over with and look to the future, because they've gone through it pretty tough this season. But the Sharks, yeah, they just won't be content with how they've played. So I think we could see a big win from the Sharks if they show up.
Yeah, I can't make up my mind. All I've sort of thought about this game, I think the Sharks will win, no doubt. But I just don't know if it would be a close one or a big, as you're saying, like it'll just blow out, because we've seen on the weekend how much it sort of meant to Candy Cherrington. I think it was a lot of the fact that she was missing for a lot of those games, and sort of felt personally that she's let the team down quite a lot. We saw her get quite emotional in that post-game interview. So I think that even though they haven't done a great season, I think the Eels will turn up for this one and really want to try and prove something for years moving forward. We know it's quite a young squad, so they might want to try and build some momentum, get back into your preseason training and things like that, and build for next year. So I just don't know about the margin, but I think the Sharkies do get this done. What about your player to watch? I'll go first, actually, because I want to actually ask you about this one. I got Casey Tohu. I can't even read my own handwriting here. Tohi Hiku, the Eels centre. Hopefully, I've got that right. Sorry, guys, if I haven't. Honestly, I just want to make a special mention to her, because I think she's been really good this year, and a really bright spark for the Eels and then in the centres. And I just thought before we end these the Eels season and not get to talk about him again, I just wanted to quickly say I think she's been fantastic this year, and a side that most weeks have been well beaten. It's been really good to sort of watch her, and I think someone to really look out for in the years to come.
Yeah, she's someone that I think she's a bit more of a quiet play. You probably won't notice her on the
Yeah.
field, but if you do watch her play, she's just like a really solid player, won't make many mistakes, just does her job, and can even have big moments at times. I think it was in the trial before the season, she played fullback, and I wasn't expecting her to play there. I just thought she was more of a winger. But yeah, she actually had a really good game at fullback, and thought that could be an option for the Eels moving forward this season because she killed it. Yeah, just so safe under the high ball. Maybe even had like a long range try as well in that game. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard to notice when the Eels have been going so badly, but Cassie definitely has put her hand up this season.
Yeah, I
Yeah, so
agree. Your
player to watch. Yeah, sorry. Someone who I have spoken about previously, come out of nowhere sort of for the Eels is Tyler Amiatu. Scored her first try last week, and yeah, it's just turning into really one of the more damaging front row runners in the game. So keep an eye on her.
Yeah, hopefully the Eels have her locked down for a little bit of time as well, because someone to really focus on and not to lose, please. I'm over watching this team lose its good players. About your predicted try scorer.
Yeah, well, the Eels, they're just centers are cashing in every week it seems against the Eels. Hopefully, I picked the right one this week. I was wanting to go Penatani because she scored last week, but I'm gonna go Nessa Biddle. I wouldn't be surprised if they both score, but yeah, Nessa, I think could crash over close to the line.
My heart skipped a beat then. I thought I'm in trouble here, but I've gone Tiana. I just saw off the back scoring last week, and to be honest, I sort of think for her standards, she's been a little bit quiet this year. That's just my personal opinion, but I just think she will want to end the year well. Obviously, rep footy that coming up as well. You always want to be make sure you're playing good footy. Just to no one's ever penned in and no one's ever earned the jersey, no matter what. It's like you still want to deserve to have that jersey. And I think she'll want to use this game to just make sure she is in the frame and is getting that jersey at the end of the year. Look, this is the game we want to talk about. We've got the Raiders fifth, the Titans third. Massive game to end what has been, as I said, a fantastic NRLW season. I think it's fitting to have a game that actually means something to end the NRL regular season. 3:15 GIO Stadium, so the second game of the doubleheader. Thoughts on this one, because this is set to be an absolute cracker.
I've flipped in my mind so many times
Yeah.
what I think is going to happen in this game. I think I initially had one team circled on my piece of paper here, and then I've changed it, and yeah, I can't really make up my mind. But massive game for the top four. I think if Raiders lose, they can't make it. So pretty much Raiders have to win. I think what is it? If Broncos win, Raiders have to win by more than 24 against the Titans
Yeah.
to then knock the Titans down, because the Broncos might not be able to go out. I'm not sure, that might be wrong, but yeah, there's some scenario where the Titans can end up finishing fifth and drop out completely, and the Raiders and Broncos make it, and that's on point
Wow.
difference. So yeah, just it's down in Canberra. That's why initially I was leaning the Raiders. Just they've been pretty solid there this season, but the Titans' defense is what's sort of playing in the back of my mind. The defense has been so good, and in a game that I think is going to be really tight and low scoring, I think on the back of what they've sort of built the foundation of in their defense this season, the Titans are the better team, probably at winning in a really close one.
They were all year. We've been really good with our tips. We've been quite on similar thought patterns with most of these games this year. And I've got to say, I'm with you. I think the Titans get it done purely. Their defense is so good. But the other, like against the Eels, I know the Eels have been pretty bad, but just some of the tries they scored last week, to me, showed a team that was getting themselves ready for finals football and getting to that next level. And I thought they scored quite a good few tries, and some of their big players, as we've seen Chapman score a hat trick last week, was obviously just really priming herself for a massive finals campaign. So I just think for the Raiders, a new team, we spoke about the fatigue factor setting in, and maybe it's just a little bridge too far. But look, it's still been a great season for the Raiders if they aren't able to get this done. But it'll be a toss of the coin either way. I've got the Titans winning in Golden Point as well. I think it'll go all the way. So can't wait to watch this one. Player to watch. I've got, look, the Raiders. will have obviously the do or die game for them, and I think they'll get down to the trenches, that sort of dogfight type game where the players are just into each other, and that suits their captain Jemima Taufa down to the ground. So watch her get in and amongst it. She will literally not stop. It will be great to watch, and yeah, she's my player to watch.
Well, we're in sync even more because, yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. I just think in a real tight tussle, that's the exact type of player who's the team's going to turn towards when they need her most, and she knows that, and she'll stand up, and yeah, you'll see her going all day, no matter what, even if she's injured or whatever, bleeding,
Yeah.
she won't stop. So yeah, Jemima Taufa definitely. If the Raiders are going to get across the line, Jemima Taufa's going to have probably a near 300 run meter game, 50 tackles, probably score a try, to be honest.
Yeah, and blood probably streaming down the face like she does almost every week. So no doubt that'll be the scene at the end of that game. Predicted try scorer.
I was tempted to go Taufa, but leaning towards the Titans win. I think in a low scoring game, their points are going to be really hard to come by, and they're going to turn to their stars. And I think after scoring 3 last week, Jamie Chapman will cross over. Have I taken yours?
You've got me. You've got me here. You know what though? I'll stick with who we just spoke about. I'll go Jemima Taufa then. I'll let her go across the line, and I reckon she'll, as you said, it's going to be really tight. One of those grindy games, and just barge over close to the line. I can just see her doing that. So we were that in sync with this game. It's quite crazy. So let's see how we end up going. As I said, guys, that's all we've got time for regular season. We'll be back to do some final stuff as well, look into the games a bit more in depth as well. So if you really like those in depth listens and sort of podcasts, it'll be definitely down your rally. Can't wait to get into those next week. Some really big games of football, obviously finals, knockout straight away, knockout footy, which will be fantastic to watch. But get around it. There's still some great games to watch this week. A lot of players with stuff to play for, as we've said, rep footy coming up, things like that. And then finals football getting into form as well to make sure they're selected in those teams as well. You don't want to go the whole season and miss out because of a dodgy sort of game or something like that. So there'll be a lot of players really putting their best foot forward this week. Alex, once again, Watch Her Footy. Thank you very much. Go ahead, give them some love and support all over social media, podcasts as well. They absolutely love it. They deserve it. So enjoy your week, guys. NRL Footy, cannot wait for it this weekend. Prime time, Thursday night. Get to it. Enjoy your week.